Can you believe it? We've made it to the end of our Floral Art Challenge, where we have created a mini collection of art together. If you haven't seen the last 4 videos within this series, go back and watch those first.
Today, we're going to do our final touches for our mini art collection. Today, we're going to create a tear sheet and a logo for your collection. Now, a tear sheet is essentially a document that highlights your entire collection on one piece of paper. But today, we're going to focus on letter size and we're going to build it in Adobe Illustrator. You could also build your tear sheet in Canva if you would like, but let's get started. First, I want you to go to Adobe Illustrator and go to File, click New, and from New, you're going to type in the dimensions of your new document. So I already have it filled in here, 8.5 by 11 inches. The orientation is going to be vertical. And then you're going to click Create. From here, you're going to create 2 squares in a rectangle to put in the center of your document. I'm going to make each one of my squares 4 by 4 inches. And I'm going to copy and paste the first square and center it on my document. Then I will duplicate the square and I'm going to drag it so that it is the full width of both squares. And I'm going to leave a little space underneath the squares so that I will have room to soon add a text box. Now I'm going to create a few text boxes, and right now they're going to be filled with just some random letters, but soon I will put the titles of each individual pattern or work of art underneath each square and rectangle so that we can identify what we're calling each one of our designs from our mini collection. And now as a placeholder, I'm going to put a rectangle at the top of the document, and that's where I'm going to eventually put a logo that we're going to create together for this mini collection. At the bottom of the document, I'm going to create 3 more text boxes. And these text boxes will represent where we're going to write out our copyright information for our collection, our contact information, and then our website, where people can find more of our work. The next step is pretty easy. I'm going to place my artwork inside each of these squares and rectangle, and these are really just placeholders so that I know exactly where I want to center and put my artwork. So I have created a JPEG of my hero illustration, my secondary pattern, and then my blender pattern, and I'm going to put them in my document by going to File and Place. I will select each of the designs, and I will place them in my document. As you can see, they're a little bit large, so I'm going to embed them first, and then I'm going to reduce the size of them. So I'm going to grab one of the corners while holding down the Shift key, and I am going to drag it until my designs are a smaller scale. And then from here, I'm going to take each individual piece of art and I'm going to place them where they need to be. Make it just so. And then I'm going to take my Flutters blender pattern, I'm going to scale it up a little bit, and then I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, and Send to Back of the document. Now from here, I'm going to actually grab the rectangle on top, so I'm going to select it, I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and then I'm going to grab my Flutters design, and then I'm going to make a clipping mask so that my design is the exact dimensions of my rectangle. So I'm going to go to Object, I'm going to go down to the bottom where it says Clipping Mask, and I'm going to click Make. You can see there's also Command 7 that you could use if you wanted to use a shortcut. And whenever I'm done, I'm going to see that the rectangle is now completely filled with my design and there's no more black outlines from the rectangle. So now for the other 2 designs, I don't need to make a clipping mask. I'm just going to arrange them and send them to the back of my document. And then I'm going to delete the original rectangles. Now I have my designs placed, it's time to name each one of my illustrations, or patterns. So the first design I'm calling Watering Can. The second design I'm calling Daisy Power. And the third design I'm calling Flutters. Now here's a tip. You can also add SKU numbers behind each one of these titles in order to organize your work, and I teach how to do that inside of my course, Leverage Your Art. I teach it once a year, and it's a way that I've come up with keeping all of my designs tidy and organized. Now I'm just adjusting the fonts to make sure that I like them. So I'm using pop-ins. Now I'm going to add in my copyright information on the lower left-hand side of my screen. Then I'm going to add in my contact email. And then finally I'm going to put my portfolio website URL here, so gingerbirdportfolio.com, where people can see more of my work. Hopefully art directors specifically can see more of my work. I'm going to adjust the placement, adjust my fonts to make sure everything fits. And now the last step is going to be to create a logo for this collection. And it's going to go right up here where that black rectangle is. So first, before I design the logo, I'm going to type out the name of my collection. And I'm going to call it Flower Power. Because this is a font that everyone may not have on their computers whenever I'm sharing this document, I'm going to go ahead and make these words an outline. That way, the text is no longer just a text box, but each individual letter becomes a shape that's movable. And so to do that, I'm going to select my text box, go to Type, and then Create Outlines. And now, every part of Flower Power is an individual shape that can be moved around, and it doesn't matter if the recipient has the appropriate font on their computer or not. Now I want to add in the words by Stacie Bloomfield, and I'm going to select a different font, a cursive font. It's called Miss Confidential. I have the license to use this font. I've purchased it, and I'm going to place it underneath the text Flower Power. And again, I'm going to turn it into an outline so that it's going to be readable on any computer. And now I'm going to just adjust scale and make sure I like the placement of the title and my name next to each other. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to put it above my designs on my tear sheet. And now it's time to make a really simple logo. With logos, the simplest solution is often the best solution. I use that phrase a lot. It's not my own phrase, but it's true. Sometimes people overthink a logo and then they get so stuck with making the perfect logo, they just never move on to the next phase, which is showing off their work and pitching it. So what I like to do to make it really simple, and I've done this for all my fabric collections, is go to one of my original designs from the collection and just pull out one or two elements and arrange it above or next to the title of my collection and recolor it so that it looks really clean, easy to read. We don't want something super detailed. So I've gone back to the daisy pattern, and I'm going to grab one of those daisies and I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it into my tear sheet. And because it has a white background, I'm going to flip those colors. I'm going to make the petals pink, and I'm going to make the inside of the flower white. That way they're visible. And then I'm going to copy and paste that daisy a few times and start rotating and arranging it all around the Flower Power text. And you're just going to watch me experiment as I try different placement options until I land on something that I think is nice, easy to read, and fits in beautifully with my collection. I've settled on just having a row of daisies above Flower Power, rotating them slightly so that they don't look completely uniform, and centering it above my text. And here is my finished tear sheet. I feel really happy with this. It's a fun, simple collection. And then it's time to save your tear sheet. So I'm going to save it as a PDF. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to title it Flower Power Tear Sheet. And I'm going to go to the format at the bottom and save it as a PDF. And now I can open up my tear sheet and it is ready to share. I can share this with art directors. I can attach it to an email to show them the new collections that I'm working on. I can feature it on my portfolio website. And now, while I'm pitching this work, I can think about where I want to put these designs on my own products that I'm creating. So that flowering can would make a beautiful sticker. The daisy power design would look so cute on a notepad. And then the flutters design, gosh, I could use that in so many places. It's such a complimentary design. And actually, I've used this design in fabric already or inside of the lining of a planner. And now, here it is. We have created a mini collection together. I hope that you've had a lot of fun. I cannot wait to see your finished collections. So tell me, what will you do next? Does this take the intimidation factor out of making the perfect collection and make it feel like you can do this? Remember, collections don't always need to be these 8-piece pattern collections for fabric. So many people who license art are really looking for trios. They're looking for the hero pattern, the complementary secondary pattern, and then the blender. I can tell you from experience, people like to license in collections like this. It works, and you can do this.
So that's it for the Floral Art Challenge. Thank you so much for participating. Don't forget to share your collection with me on Instagram. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.